Hello, we are here for another video, and this time we're going to be looking at the ear and all the structures and function. So let's start with the outside of the ear, which is what most people think of when you hear the word ear. We have the external ear here, which is actually called the pinna, and the shape kind of helps funnel the sound right into the auditory canal here, okay, or simply just call the ear canal. But the ear structure is very big, very vast on the inside of your head. And it's separated into external, middle, and inner ear. So with the external ear, we already talked about the pinna, we talked about the auditory canal or ear canal, and then the boundary that kind of separates the external from the middle ear is the eardrum right here. So I'm gonna take it out and you can see there's a membrane here. And the purpose of the eardrum is basically to vibrate in response to sound wave hitting it, and those vibrations will be converted into movement. It basically works backwards compared to a speaker. A speaker uses motion to create sound. This one takes the sound and convert it into movements. On the medial side of the eardrum, oh, by the way, the eardrum has a biological term for it. It's called tympanic membrane, the tympanic membrane. They basically mean the same thing. So over here on the medial side of the tympanic membrane, you can see it's connected to these tiny bones. You have a total of 3 of these tiny bones, collectively known as the ossicles. Okay, ossicles. And the function of the ossicles is to form a lever system that is going to help magnify the sound that is coming in. Okay. In fact, there are little muscles that are attached to the ossicles that can dampen the lever system a little bit if the sound is a little bit too loud. But generally, the function is to help pass on the movement of the tympanic membrane to further into the ear, and it helps magnify it a little bit as well. So there are 3 ossicles, as I mentioned, starting from the most lateral, the one that is closest to the outside of the body. We have this one that kind of looks like a hammer, and that is the name of it, hammer. Okay. Right next to it, we have this one, pointy one. That one is called the anvil. And connected to it, which is not really visible in this model, would be a third one, which is called the stirrup. Okay, so the hammer, anvil, and the stirrup. These are more like common names, if you would. The proper anatomical names for them would be the malleus, the incus, as well as the stapi. And again, you cannot really see that in this particular model. The stapi looks like the thing you put your feet on when you're riding a horse, for example. Okay, there is another tube right here. This is called the Eustachian tube, which is also known as the auditory tube. Okay, don't confuse the auditory canal with the auditory tube, or to make it easier for you, you can just remember it's called the Eustachian tube. This is normally going to be closed, but when you swallow, it will open up, and it basically connects to your pharynx, and it allows the pressure to be equalized between the outside and the inside of the head. Perhaps the most common experience that you might have where this mechanism is useful is if you are on a plane, or even if you're riding on an elevator that's going up to a higher floor, you might feel your ears being plugged. That's because there is less pressure higher up in the atmosphere, and there's too much building up in your head. And when you swallow, you open up the Eustachian tube here, and all the excess pressure would just kind of come out, and it equalizes a little bit. All right. So that's part of your middle ear. Okay. Moving on further into the ear system here, we have the inner ear right here in this region. And you can see that there is this snail shell bony structure. That is the cochlea. And inside the cochlea, you would have various channels that is filled with fluids. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is in those channels, one of them is going to have a specialized structure called the organ of Corti. And you have mechanical receptors in there called the hair cells, which are responsible for detecting sound for you. Okay, so that's the cochlea. Now I'm gonna move to the left here, and you can see there is it actually got broken off. This would have been the stay piece or the stirrup that would be pressing onto a membrane that is hidden behind the bone right here, and that membrane is called the oval window. Okay, so every time the stapes pushes into the oval window, it creates shock wave that will be traveling throughout the fluid that's inside the cochlea, and that shock wave is what will cause the ion channels in the hair cells to open and create an action potential that will then travel to your brain. Right? So cochlea right here, and there is a little region here called the vestibule. There are various structures on the vestibule that's, again, not visible in this model, but the vestibule is primarily responsible for detecting vertical acceleration, as in like if you're dropping down, or horizontal acceleration. Think about speeding up in a car or braking hard. To feel that change in motion, you would depend on detectors that is located in this vestibule structure right here. Okay. On the side here, we have 3 of these tubes. They are called semicircular canals. The canals are filled with fluid again, and when you move your head in different direction, the fluids will move, and at the base of these canals would be, again, detectors that would be stimulated depending on how your head is moving. So this one is called the anterior semicircular canal, and it will be stimulated when you are nodding your head, for example. Okay, so front and back motion of the head will cause the fluid in the anterior semicircular canal to move, and the detectors will pick those up. Over here on the side, we have the lateral semicircular canal, and that will be most stimulated when you are shaking your head from side to side, as in saying no. Okay, so saying yes, it will be this one. Shaking your head will be the lateral semicircular canal. And at the back, we have the posterior semicircular canal, and that is most active when you are tilting the head to the side. Okay, so in another example, right, if you're doing a somersault, like you're doing this kind of flipping motion, then it will be stimulating the anterior semicircular canal. If you're doing a pirouette, okay, like a figure skater, like doing the spin like this, okay, then you will be stimulating the lateral one. And for the one at the back, you will have to be doing a cartwheel, okay, doing a cartwheel like that. Okay, so different planes of motion will stimulate different semicircular canal. All right, so all these signals that you're picking up, whether it's sound or whether it's related to movement of the body or the head, is going to get sent to the brain in this bundle of nerves here. It's actually a combination of 2 nerves. We have the vestibular nerve and the cochlear nerve, and they will go to different parts of the brain. If it's the vestibular nerve, it will take these balancing information to the cerebellum and perhaps to the primary somatosensory cortex as well. And if it has to do with sound, then the information will be going to the temporal lobe. All right, so this goes back right here. I think that's about all the structures related to the ear. Thanks for watching. Actually, before we go, let's do a quick summary of the transmission of sound from the outside all the way to where it's supposed to go. Okay, so like as you were speaking, the sound wave is coming in. Okay, it's gonna funnel into the auditory canal right here, and the sound waves will be hitting the tympanic membrane, creating motion. As the tympanic membrane goes in and out, those movements will be transferred to the ossicles, which would magnify the sound intensity, and it goes from the malleus to the incus, and finally to the stapes right here, and it will be pushing onto the oval window. Okay. I should probably mention there is another window further down. It's not shown in this model, but it's called the round window. Every time the stapes pushes in to the oval window, the round window will bulge out a little bit to help relieve the pressure that is being built up inside your cochlea. So as I said, when the oval window is being compressed, the shock wave will travel through the fluid inside the cochlea, stimulating the hair cells in the organ of Corti. Those hair cells will then transmit create the action potential, which then will be transmitted through the cochlear nerve, right, to the temporal lobe, and that's how you can hear the sound. That's it.